Welcome to MSP Unplugged. I am your host, Paco LeBron. This is the place to learn how to run your IT service business, whether you are a one-person shop or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. I'd like to go ahead and announce our first sponsor of the year, and that is MoveBot. MoveBot is the simplest and fastest data migration tool there is, supporting over 30 storage and email platforms today. Check out movebot.ai. Gotta say that 3 times fast. We'll have more about them later on in the show. Uh, how's everybody doing, mi gente? This is the first podcast of 2024. I hope everyone is doing quite well. You have great aspirations for the year, and it's a great time to kick off. Hopefully, you have been listening to our fourth quarter living series, and we have quite a bit of an announcement for you today. We are going to go ahead and mention from this particular episode, and our update is going to be in regards to TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged 2024 is officially back. We are on the road to this September. It will be in the greater Washington, D.C. area, September 12th to the 14th at the hotel at the Arundel Preserve. Join us for an amazing event as we bring the IT community together across 2.5 days of content to help better your business, save money, save time, and most importantly, improve your services. This show is for the fast emerging MSPs, or if you're working on to scale your business, this is going to be the place for you. I'm happy to announce that today we are dropping the early bird tickets. They will be on sale today over at techconunplugged.com. Head over there for the early bird pricing. We will have that only for a short amount of time, and we look forward to seeing you there. Again, techconunplugged.com is the place to be September 12th to the 14th at the Hotel Arundel Preserve. All right, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and take out, as you noticed, that Rick is not here today. So we're going to go ahead and just give you a quick update on what's going on over here at Prodigy Techs. Figured it's been a while. I think a lot of these episodes you tend to like to hear. So feel free to give us a feedback on the episodes that you like moving forward from there. One of the things that we've done here over at Prodigy Techs is we've actually expanded our help desk. We were at 2, we are now at 7. And I'll tell you, we're working through the process and things. What it has done is it really has helped us understand how to kind of really work together as a unit. Really getting our documentation tight, really figuring out that like we had some of our documentation not fully done completely. So we needed to update that with a lot of context, a lot of explanation, tools to run into that. And I'll kind of go into that later on today. And it really just, I think it was just time for us to kind of grow a little bit bigger. We just had this need where clients felt that we were not addressing things as fast as possible. And especially on onboardings. I think our onboardings where, my friend Juan Fernandez always says is that it's always death by onboarding. If your onboarding is never done properly, you will always have problems moving forward. And so, really dialing that in, really trying to figure that piece out, and really just helping us understand, how to really focus on items that make sense, right? And as we kind of grow this and mature it and start evolving that model, we've basically decided that we need to really just figure out how do we go ahead and move into a point where we're figuring out how do we remove myself from the platform, remove myself from the process. And so really trying to figure out, okay, here is where I've kind of invested my time on all these things. How do I remove myself? Because really my main focus this year is to grow the business. And I have to do that via sales and inquiring with our marketing strategist and department. And we have to get into that. Like we will not grow unless I personally focus on that and everything else is taken on for that section. So we're going through a lot of that. My big thing is whiteboards. Whiteboards are a must to try and get that whole thing going for us. And really just trying to figure out what's the best way for us to really just work as a unit. What systems do we have to put in place? Like I mentioned before, really being able to coordinate with our external subcontractors, our vendors, the resources that we're paying for, that we're investing in, utilizing the most out of them as much as possible. So those are one of the things that we're doing here as well. One of the bigger things that we are moving into as well is implementing the new rules on how to interact with one another. We're also going ahead and moving into basically making sure that, cameras are now required for internal meetings, doing water cooler break rooms for randomness so they can have a place to unwind, and being able to have the ability to just really talk to each other, interact, feel that they can have the peace to really go through on just being able to coordinate, and just having a more being attentive to some of the platforms, utilizing some of the other things that they have as well. Did you know that Microsoft Edge, which is the browser we suggest and we actually implement for a lot of our clients, being that it's on the Chromium backbone, is it integrates with Teams. So you can actually be on Edge and just communicate right out of Teams if you wanted to. There's a sidebar there on the side there that they have. I am on Windows 11, so not sure if that's a Windows 11 thing, but that's what I'm on right now. And then really just focusing on limiting the amount of channels that are going to be inside of our teams section. So we've kind of gotten a little bit carried away with a lot of the channels and sub channels that we have. We have created certain teams channels for like the different departments. But I think that that has kind of grown to be a little bit more odd, and there's so many of them, is to trying to remember which one is which. So we're working on clearing all that out as we speak as well. And then finally, for our team, we're retaking a personality test. For those that don't know, there's a test called DISC. There's others that are out there as well that like they give you the personality test for, like, you're a red person, blue, yellow, etc. Well, my good friend Luis Geraldo over at on who used to be at Ook, who has since successfully exited his MSP, now is over at ScalePad, made the suggestion to me probably a couple years ago, actually not a long time ago, and it was in regards to the working genius. And so the working genius, which I believe, let me double check here. I want to say it's the workinggenius.com. Yes. Yes, workinggenius.com. So on the workinggenius.com, I think it's like 25 bucks for a personality test. So in my opinion, it's not that much. And so we would do this for our entire team, and it would go under the six, essentially wonders, or the different levels of genius is what they call them. And it's, the wonder, here, let me see if I can pull up the six types of working genius, six types of working genius here. And yeah, so let me pull it over here so you guys can hear me, because I'm keep moving my mouth away from the microphone. And it's the wonder. So yeah, anyway, so the six wonders of genius are six levels of genius. Say that six times fast. Wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. So wonder, do you see potential? Invention, do you see ideas? Discernment, you assess ideas. Galvanizing, you rally others to act on ideas. Enablement, you help to bring ideas to life. And tenacity, you push ideas to completion. And so, how they grade them is you have two traits that you're really good at, or levels of genius. You have two that are you're mediocre, and then the last two that you're poor. And so what I've learned is that when I try to provide tasks or enablements or things of that nature to help get the business to run properly, I would try to enable them across those particular ideas. So for example, when it comes to invention and wonder, you know, those are going to be the ones that are the problem solvers, the ones that are looking into, they're thinking above for themselves. They're trying to, if they're presented with an issue, they're going to try and figure out how to fix it. Those are the two traits that you want for a technician, is wonder and invention. So I actually have my lead technician who exhibited the wonder and invention genius trait. And so that allowed us for me to know that if there is an issue that comes with the ability of, let's say, for example, an issue comes in that there's no documentation, or they're trying to research it, things of that nature. It allowed us to understand, or it allows him or enables him, and I can trust that he's going to try and figure it out. Whereas when it comes to others, trying to figure that piece out. It allowed them to, sometimes they may not think to figure it out or ask or figure, and then they right away want to escalate it, or they want to try and find help instead of trying to figure it out on themselves. So it really helps with identifying the natural quote unquote gifts that they have, and has really helped us go from there. So since it's about 2 years or so, I'm going to go ahead and set that up for everybody to make sure that we have some good time, and really just a matter of just understanding a little bit more on how to really work better with ourselves. Again, going back to, implementing these new rules, I think cameras on, because we used to have a policy where I didn't really require my remote team to keep their cameras on, but I think now it just makes more sense for the collaboration to replicate that in-person conversation back and forth. Having cameras on moving forward is really going to be a necessity for us to really just, coordinate, collaborate, and really get to the point of having some of those things as well. I want to talk about our tools. And so I think this may be an opportunity for us to really dive into some of the big changes that we have had. I keep hitting my mic. Big changes that we've had here at Prodigy Techs. So I kind of been beating around the bush about this, and have not wanted to forthright say this, but just because we're figuring out some things in the background and stuff like that. But I will mark this episode as the official me saying we have moved from Synchro to SuperOps AI. This was a decision that we felt was needed for the size and the growth of our business. I think that we were looking in a different frame of how do we collaborate more? How do we get better at helping each other, and really just limiting a lot of the third-party tools we were using that SuperOps provided for us. Love the team over at Synchro. There's, again, a giant backbone and pivotal to our infrastructure of how we are today. And so nothing but love for them. I know that they have some great things that they are working on. Talk to a lot of their team on that side, and they seem to have a really great perspective on security and things of that nature kind of coming in here in 2024. But for us, for SuperOps was a big fit for multiple reasons. One, me and John, when John was at Prodigy Techs, we were looking at the ability of just making things simpler, and really trying to figure out how do we get all our team in line when we're tagging people, when we're trying to figure out people to get to things, pulling the ability of understanding how someone was responding to a ticket, looking through ticket comments. There were a lot of things that me and John were just struggling, trying to figure out how do we figure out the best way to get our team together, because we just kept falling over ourselves. And I think I've mentioned this on quite a few times, where our team just was not efficient. Our team would, double entry things. They would not follow up on things. It was just a pain in the butt to try and keep them all together. And we just decided that we just needed to introduce new tools to try and help for that. And one of them was SuperOps. The other piece is, I think that, and I'll go out and say that I think that SuperOps had some weird attention that happened a couple years ago, that people have kind of given them the poo-poo or kind of gave them a side eye on, but really was more marketing than it was the tool itself. The technology is really great, works well. But the other piece that was kind of the helping move forward was my good friend, as I mentioned before, Juan Fernandez, is now the US, the channel chief, and taking over all of the US operations for the team. And so he is responsible for all US operation. And if you know Juan, hopefully you met him at TechCon Unplugged this past year. If not, he'll be at many of the shows this year. There's no bullshit with Juan. You get one version of Juan, and I've been grateful to have him not only as a good friend, as a mentor, but I do consider him as a very key pivotal piece in a lot of the things that I do, and has really helped me grow as not only as an MSP, but also as an individual as well. So with him joining on Super Ops, that also helped push me on that as well. John kind of demoed the system, looked at it, kind of gave us like, yeah, this looks good for what we need. And then Juan being over there helped push that as well. I also have joined their partner advisory board. And so my goal is to help communicate with a lot of you guys and gals and all. Um, what is your view? I think Super Ops right now is great for the under $3 million MSP. And I think that it really helps with that. But they actually are working on modifying and improving the system into the three phases and really helping ensure that no matter what size MSP, you're going to be great at being able to work on this and move forward with that system. I foresee a lot of crazy and really great things coming out in 2024. I'm really excited to see some of the things that they have coming out. And you could just join just their community and see what everyone's kind of talking about. A lot of people are great. They're conversating, they're back and forth with each other. And again, I got a lot of great friends that are working there as well. And being part of the advisory board is helping me help them, guide them into what looks to hopefully be what there's going to be on implementation of systems and things of that are needed from on an MSP side, and hopefully will help you as you move forward. So yes, I've moved on to Super Ops AI. I'm happy to talk about it with anyone who wants to ping me on my experience so far, any questions, things of that nature, kind of what my transition has been like. But again, it's been great. The support's been great. I have nothing to complain about so far in Super Ops, and we've been on them now for going on 3 to 4 months now. The next one I have here is we're going to be implementing some anti-phishing tools. I think we've mentioned in the past that we were on Microsoft 365 for spam filtering. Although it's been great, we just have not had a lot of good luck with the phishing attempts, and I just can't figure out why. There is a gentleman, I believe Jonathan Edwards, that Rick Smith had um, sent over the video to me, and we kind of followed his process, which improved the spam filtering setup by a long shot. I highly suggest you follow his Microsoft 365 video update. I'll see if we can put that in the show notes as well, because it's just amazing on how that worked through and really focusing on how the spam filter function works and how like the built-in piece of Microsoft is kind of preventing you from working on it, and recreating those rules is what's going to help you out in the future. So we are looking at anti-phishing tools. We're looking at Inky. We're looking at Cofense. Cyberfish was what it was known previously. That's what we were using before. And Avanon is to name a few. So if you have any suggestions, would love to hear kind of what you all are looking at. I will keep you up to date on where we're at and what we're looking at, because I believe that it's going to be a good opportunity for us to just take a look and see kind of where we're at. But my goal is to introduce an anti-phishing tool in there and then figure out our backup situation as well. I think we just are working on trying to keep everything in one platform and working on some of those as well. But in regards to tools, let me go ahead and take a quick break and talk about one of the tools that I find very fascinating. And again, mentioned earlier on the top of the episode, who was our sponsor, and we're going to talk about MoveBot. Data migrations are complex and irritating, creating days of frustrations from setup to cutover. MoveBot was built from the ground up to fix that. MoveBot is the simplest and fastest data moving tool there is, fully hosted with no infrastructure, no virtual machines, none of that. Sign up, connect, scan, and you'll be moving data in minutes. Techs of all levels can now move terabytes per day with MoveBot. The magic lies in how MoveBot simplifies and autoscales your migration with modern cloud technology, handling proprietary doc types, file name sanitation, permissions, and cutover, with detailed reporting and alerting at every step. Start moving data like a pro at movebot.io, and definitely check out the link in our show notes as well. All right. One thing I want to add on MoveBot, and I'm not sure if for those that have issues, there are tools similar that are out there, but I don't think quite like this. I was just looking on their website to get the updated list, but they do a lot of different file share migrations as well. I'm looking on their website here, and I can tell you right now, there's probably some of these that I use that I wish that I had when we were doing some of these migrations. They do mailboxes, but they also do files and folders. And they go through a lot of systems. They do Google Workspace, Dropbox, SharePoint, but they also do in OneDrive, but they also do Box. They do Ignite, to and from is what it looks like here. They have Amazon S3, Wasabi, Backblaze. They have Windows Server, Windows 10, Mac. So, I think it behooves you to just take a look. I think they have a trial as well. We're going to basically have a call to action link here on the bottom as well for you to try it out for yourself. But I would suggest take a look. I mean, I think that they have a lot more platforms than a lot of the other guys as well, especially Box. I've been having a lot of clients recently using the Box platform, and it's been hard to even just do anything with those guys, whether it's the transfer, whether it's the backup. And I mean, it's been a pain altogether. So the fact that they can do a transfer to Box and do a migration from there, or even going from Box into, let's say, OneDrive or SharePoint, because you're trying to keep everything together, something to take a look at. Um, what else do we got here on our list here? Yeah, another summary update that I have. We're going to go ahead and upgrade my home office. I just recently purchased a new laptop, the Samsung Galaxy Book 360, Book 3. Um, I'm kind of on the fence with it still. It was a suggestion from a friend, raved about it. They have the 16 inch. I bought the 13.3 inch one. I just some weird docking station issues where, like, for example, I don't know if you've noticed on my video here, but it's kind of been like jittery here and so off. So I don't know if that's a RAM issue, what's going on. I mean, I bought the i7 16 gig 512 SSD version. It looks like I'm at like 60% RAM right now. Still trying to figure out the kinks of it and things like that. Other thing I had was I have a Type USB-C docking station. It may be the docking station. I'm not sure, but basically I have, which is the next part, is like I have a new monitor set up. I have my 34-inch Samsung S6 class, I think it is here, that I've had for a while, but I've had my two C29 27-inch lap or C27 Samsung curved laptop monitors for the longest, and so I decided to have a third monitor because why not? I bought new arms. I put my two dual ones here. I put my Samsung, they're all Samsung actually, my Samsung 34-inch in front of me here. And so it didn't support, my old docking station didn't support triple display. So I bought a triple display display link, a Wavelink, a Wavelink, WAVLINK display link 4K plug-in display. And when I have it in one of the USB ports, it seems like the video card crashes for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But when I put it in the second one, because it has three, I put in the second type USB-C, it works fine. I haven't had any like crashes or anything like that. But I noticed a little bit of jitter, but I don't know if that's my internet connection as well. I've been having some issues here with the cabling and stuff, so going to be running that through as well. So verdict's not out just yet for the Galaxy Book 360. I do love the touch capability, the AMOLED, say that 5 times fast. The screen is phenomenal. Like, the screen is beautiful. It works great. It's a touch screen. It's a flip 361. I did purchase the pen. Just FYI, the S Pen Pro does not work Bluetooth capability with the Galaxy Book. I was under the impression that it does. It does not. It only works on the phones on the S Pen. So a little disappointed with that. I could have probably just got a cheaper version of it. So I may return it, get it for another one that works for the another one that works with the tablet as well. So and then trying to find a privacy screen for this thing is a bit of a task. With my old Surface that I had before, I had a Surface Laptop 3. Loved the thing. It worked great for everything that I needed it for. Was able to find a great screen protector, put it on. I mean, it was great. And then this one, I don't know, just still kind of on the fence of it. So I still got about 7 days. Still will figure out if I'm gonna keep it or get rid of it. Kind of back and forth on it. So we'll see where I'll keep you up to date on end of the month. See if or actually at the end of this week to see if I stick with it or if it ends up going back to Best Buy and getting into a whole nother system right now, because I am indeed need for a new laptop. So if you have any suggestions, if you like what you're currently using as your daily driver, let me know, and we will go from there. All right, what else do I got here? Yep. So I talked about our monitor setup. We upgraded our podcast equipment. We have I got a better low profile arm here. We also have a new not Roadcaster, Mackie that I have here that I plan to set up as well. Get some new lighting here. I'm using like a dinky ring light that I had got at a conference on Amazon tripod stand. Talking with one of my colleagues, they have a key light here for their Logitech Brio, so I'm going to try that going on there. Going to be pulling up the ceiling here, exposing some of this and making it a more of an industrial type setup so that I can get a little bit more of a feel like how I used to have it at my old office in the West Loop. For those that don't know, I kind of moved out of that office more here for my home office. I do have my virtual office still there, so to keep the address and so forth. I will probably reopen another office, but it will probably happen in 2025, just because of everything that's going on planning wise. Got a couple trips here, got a couple traveling for work. And for those that don't know, I'm getting married at the end of close to the end of this year on October 4th. So it'll be a great time for us here on trying to get everything here at the LeBron household. So that's what we got going on here for cabling, working on upgrading of our office ceilings, making this more of an office look, get some more my I don't know, decoration or feel for here. As you guys know, you'll see my 3D printed helmets right here. You see that guy over there, just been done, trying to figure out his situation. So yeah, just trying to get it to more of the personality and feel so that I can call this place my home away from home, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Last but not least, wanted to talk about goals. And I think we all talk about goals in our own way, shape, or form. And, I think really this year, if you don't know, I used to be the co host of the Computer Business Marketing podcast with my good friend, Matt Rodella. And every year, we always used to have a word of the year and a theme and such. And so I decided that for this year, I wanted to bring that kind of idea or concept back. And for me, it's harvest and discipline. And I think that for, speaking on both for harvest and discipline, you know, I think for all the previous years, I have done such a great time of establishing relationships, establishing investments and connections. And I think it's now my time to just make that ask. I think it's part of one of the books that I'm going to suggest here is Jab, Jab, Right Hook is, you have the ability to know that you are creating relationships. You are creating the ability to just build that rapport with one another. And there's nothing wrong to make the ask. They can tell you no, and that's fine. But there's nothing wrong with making the ask. It doesn't make you a sellout. Doesn't make you, that you're just a terrible person. You genuinely are trying to build these relationships to help it make it be mutually beneficial. Main reason why we do what we do at TechCon. We don't view vendors and MSPs. We see everybody part of the community. And I'm going to be excited to tell you the two that have already sponsored TechCon when we have our updated site here and when you see on the website and kind of go from there. It's going to be a great time. But, really focusing on me, Prodigy Techs, on the investments, on the connections that I've made and helping to help them help me grow the business as well. Discipline is something that has always been an escaping task for me. I think that I have been really kind of wavering over the last several years on what we do and not really being laser focused on what we're trying to do. Yeah, we've had goals. Yeah, we've written it down, but I've always given myself the flexibility to kind of not adhere to those goals. Well, I'm not going to deal with this goal because I have this goal over here, or I have this over here, but I'm not going to try that over there. And it's been one of those where I just have to really sit down, focus, get to the point that what we're trying to do and figure out what we really need to get into, such as, we're going to be implementing some new avenues of revenue. working with PAX 8 and figuring out how to grow our internet supplier or internet service providing business, and getting commissions and set up from that way. Working with our VoIP company and getting the commissions that we get every month to bring that as a revenue stream that comes inside. Little things that like maybe minute, but will have a cascading effect as you compound it moving forward from there. So definitely harvest and discipline is going to be the theme for this year. Fingers crossed that we maintain that as we go, but that's why I'm mentioning it here, to have all of you hold me accountable and make sure that we move forward in a discipline, but also harvesting factor as well. Book suggestions. I wanted to bring up a book suggestion because we always talk about books and we never really go into what books we're currently reading or what are the books that we're trying to read and look forward to. So I have 4 that are going to be good for you all. They should reach into all multiple things that you have. 2 are sales. Well, they're all kind of sales. One's operation, one's more of building relationships, and then the others are here. So the 2 sales books that I have is called Response Block Selling by Victor Antonio, good friend of mine. Has a great resource on YouTube, just YouTube Victor Antonio, and you'll see a bunch of his stuff that is out there. But this book is great on being able to respond and really figure out how to block those objections that you may have, or I'm sorry, that your clients may have, and then rolling in your services. This has been a great book. I have to reread this, and it's such a great book. There's a Kindle version that we'll link to as well. As I mentioned before, there's Jab, Jab, Right Hook by Gary Vee. That's a great book on building relationships, understanding that you have to date before you marry, things of that nature. I'm sorry, the other sales book that I mentioned from before is called Shut the Hell Up and Sell by Arundel Richards. Great book. I listened to it on audiobook. It was a quick listen. Really put some things into perspective. Like, for example, why are you trying to get thousands of leads from a list and then try and build off of that list, when really you should just quantify a smaller list and really just focusing on making those 1 or 2 or however many clients you can take on capacity wise and grow in a more organic way. Really great. I think it's chapter 12. And he's an interesting cat. I'll tell you that. I don't know him. I've seen him at Channel Futures event, and I've heard he narrates his own book. So interesting cat, really seems really cool. I would definitely check him out on LinkedIn, Arundel Richards. Check out the book as well. We'll have that Amazon link as well. Hope to have him on the podcast here someday and soon. That may be something we'll do and reach out, because I think he has a lot of great nuggets to really focus on from there. Last but not least, one of my favorite books that I feel has personally changed the way that we do our operations here, and that is The Phoenix Project by Gene Kim. Really, it's a story about theories of constraint and really trying to fix and evolve that whole piece of how to move forward with your Phoenix Project. Identifying your 4 types of work, how to prevent unplanned work. It's an amazing read. It's a fictional story with a lot of messaging behind the theories of constraint. And it isn't an IT-centric book because it refers to the IT department on trying to evolve on a parts company. So definitely think it's a great time. It's a great book to listen to read. I cannot say I can't say more about it than you just need to read it when you get the chance. All right. Last but not least is something that I have worked on and trying to figure out is, sometimes we try to do goals, and I've talked about some of the goals here and what we do. But what I've done is also try and break those out into 30-day challenges. And 30-day challenges has really helped us really maintain and focus on every month that goes through. So this month, I do this with a buddy of mine for every January, is we don't eat any meat, or so I guess like a pescatarian diet, but no meat January. And so we look at all types of alternatives to eat and it helps with the weight loss for me. Because I've been getting up there and need to start slimming down, because although I've worked well for this body, I need to figure out how to slide into my tux in October. So one of the recipes I wanted to share with you, and maybe this could be something if everyone's curious on food and recipes, like I'm big on learning to cook. I'm big on learning recipes and things of that nature. I think some know that, but not. One of the YouTube channels I follow the most is the Sam the Cooking Guy. If you want to know hilarity and cooking at the same time, this guy is freaking hilarious. So, and so watching him and getting into that over the last several years. But the recipe I'll share with you, if you are interested in no meat, for those that are interested in that, is a walnut chili. And I said that right, walnut chili. And so essentially, you would replace the ground beef with walnuts. And so I'll tell you what, we did this. We soaked the walnuts overnight. We seasoned them. We grounded them up in the processor. We toasted them up a little bit with a little bit of oil. We threw it into there, and you threw all the regular chili into the slow cooker. I tell you, I couldn't tell the difference. I would not have believed you if you told me that it was walnuts instead of ground beef in that chili. So definitely something. If you're curious on what I used, I can send you. I'll put that in the show notes if you're curious. But I'm curious on what recipes or things that you guys like to eat. I think this is something that I would be curious to have, especially with techs coming on like what's their go-to, what's their, you think George Bardisi, you think Chick-fil-A and Philly cheesesteak, right? So you got to figure out. I want to know what is your thing, what are you known for, and things of that nature. So I think it'll be great to hear what you all have. And also how you all throw down. So it'll be a great time as well. I think I've been rambling a little bit so I'll probably cut it here short, but just a quick update, or not. I don't know if you consider this quick because our episodes sometimes go for an hour, but curious on your thoughts. Let me know if you want to hear more of these updates of both myself and Rick on the size of our businesses, how we update ourselves, things of that nature, or much more. Feel free to tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. You can watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you can be notified whenever a new episode is available. You can also take us with you on the go on your favorite podcatcher app. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We want to thank you again for listening, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.